China will be able to launch water warfare against India and Bangladesh, and it could be devastating. Everyone knows that China right now has the world's most powerful dam called the Three Gorges. Well, they are working on another one in Tibet that is going to generate 3 times more powerful than the current record holder. It is called the Zhangmu Dam in northwestern China, and there is a river called the Yarlung Sampo, which ends up feeding both Bangladesh and India. Once this water flows into Bangladesh and India, its name becomes the Brahmaputra, and it feeds over 100 million people who rely on its steady course just for survival. Now, not only will this new dam help propel China even further ahead as the world's top renewable energy producer, but it is going to give the country a great deal of leverage over India and Bangladesh, especially if those two countries don't want to play ball. We know that India and Bangladesh have a decent enough relationship, so there's no real tension between these two countries. Bangladesh and China are friends. They have a lot of cooperative projects together. They're good. Of course, China and India have a rivalry. One, because they're very large countries, they're both very populous countries, and India feels very threatened by China's growing power, and China doesn't want India to ever outpace them. Remember that China and India have fought 2 wars, one in 1962, one in 1967, and of course it was over border disputes. And even today, China constantly sends their troops into India's border just to test for weaknesses because they are trying to take some Indian land. And on every occasion, the Indian army comes and they kick out the Chinese who are trying to infiltrate. Now, there are 3 tactics at China's disposal for manipulating India and Bangladesh's water supply here. For one, China can slow the flow of the river and deny India and Bangladesh, mainly India, a great deal of agricultural output due to lack of water. Number 2, China can open and close the dam erratically, making it very unpredictable for Indian farmers to get the water that they need. Number 3, and this is China's nuclear option, they could say that an accident has happened and all of the stored water all of a sudden gets very quickly released and creates a huge flash flood that wipes entire towns off the map. Now, I'm not saying that China plans to do this, but it is an option for them now upon the completion of this dam. It is a disproportionately huge amount of leverage that China will be able to have over India if this actually gets completed. Aside from the United States, there is no other country on this earth with as much arable land as India. They only have 8 million acres less than the United States. So that's 80 million more than Russia, and that is considered the breadbasket of most of the planet. But if China so chose, they can reduce this number of arable acres by denying India a huge degree of their water supply. Fortunately for India, they are a very smart people and they're far from defenseless. China does have the vast bulk of control over the Zhangmu Dam. India can build a series of downstream dams once that water enters their country. They would just have to closely monitor everything that the Chinese are doing with their water. And that's why cooperation with the United States is so essential for India, because they can easily pinpoint exactly what China is doing with their dam, how fast the water is flowing, and how to act accordingly. India can also exhibit a great deal of diplomatic pressure against China by cozying up even more to the United States. The United States has already been on a damaging 8-year sanction campaign of China, and it doesn't look like that's going to slow down. If India favors more towards the US, then I would not be surprised to see more sanctioning and other forms of negative pressure pushed towards China by the United States in retaliation for anything done to India with their food supply or their water supply from this dam. Then, of course, India can gather local pressure against China, form a coalition with Bangladesh, Burma, Nepal, maybe even Bhutan. But however this plays out, and if tensions don't even escalate, China still has started out with a major advantage in this picture. I am the Geo Husar, and at least this is a renewable energy project. Thanks for watching.